Hello, my friends. Welcome back to episode 7 of the A to G Show 2.0. I'm Adam Amble, coming to you live from beautiful Castle Rock, Colorado. Weather is just fantastic out there on this gorgeous Tuesday evening. Hate to rub it into all you Michigan viewers, but just wanted to point that out. And speaking of Michigan, joining me tonight live via Skype from Jackson, Michigan is Mr. Garrett Collier. G, how you doing, man?
I'm good, buddy. How are you doing tonight?
Doing good, doing good. Just glad to be back for yet another episode. This has kind of been working out pretty well on the with the Skype and everything. So good to have you, man. And that move back to Tennessee inching closer and closer, right?
Yeah, Friday morning. We're hitting the road at about 7 a.m. on Friday, so we got like less than 72 hours left here.
Oh, right on, man. You all packed?
No, absolutely not.
That's all right. That's all right. Well, good to have you, man. Make sure, thank you everyone for joining us tonight live via Facebook and YouTube. Make sure to head on over to the M Factor channel on YouTube and subscribe. We really appreciate it. There is a link in the description, so click on that, leave us a like. And of course, if you missed the show tonight or just want to watch it again, then it'll be posted on the M Factor channel page later tomorrow, as usual. Now, this is intended to be an interactive show, so don't be bashful to join in the conversations in the chat window and Facebook. I see a lot of viewers already tuning in, so that's great. Great to have everyone here. We'll do our best to read your comments live, and if there is a topic that you would like to discuss, let us know, and we'll try to get to it. But we got some solid topics tonight, right, G? So let's jump right into the first topic of the night, and that is the return of UFC and live sports in action. Now, G, I know reading your Twitter throughout Saturday night, I know you tuned in. I know you're a big fan I know you're a big fan anyway of UFC, but how excited were you to really get into it and really rock and roll with some actual live sports? I mean, I know you're a fan of UFC anyway, but how was it finally being able to tune in and watch a sport that you actually really enjoy?
Oh man, it could have been anything. I mean, I know we've talked about it on previous episodes that there's people the ESPN is broadcasting Korean League baseball. I mean, it could have been anything. I always watch most of the pay-per-view events anyway, whether I go to a bar or we buy them or whatever. But yeah, I was just super excited to get back to a little bit of normalcy. It felt like a normal UFC Saturday, which was nice. I was thinking about it all day, and then the fights don't start till pretty late. So yeah, it was a good card as well. I mean, 4 or 5 really really good fights, and even the undercard didn't disappoint. A lot of really really good talent. So it was a great night.
Well, let me ask you this. So what was your opinion of it? Did it seem different with no fans, or did they do a pretty good job of the production and really getting it, getting the viewers anyway hyped up? How did you feel actually watching the fight?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't feel as a viewer that it was all that different. Maybe the only thing that was a little different was you could hear the guys breathing a little bit harder, and you could hear them talking to each other a little bit more, and you could certainly understand what the corners were saying. But the corners are always mic'd up anyway. They have a mic on all the coaches, so you can always hear that at home. The weirdest part was when people get knocked out. You hear them hit the canvas, and normally that's followed by a roar of applause or boos, depending on whether the crowd is for that fighter or against them. So that was, I guess, the one thing. But they still had Bruce Buffer there. He was all about it, doing his introductions, and the same commentary crew as always of DC and Joe and all those guys. So yeah, it felt very normal. And like I said, it was nice to have live sports that I cared about.
Yeah, so that leads me to my next question. So you were basically just as entertained, right? Josh Kurtmeyer, actually, good
Absolutely.
to see you, Josh. Josh, thanks for the background comment there. Yeah, I got a nice new backdrop going on back there. I got a new Tom Brady picture, and yeah, Kurtmeyer said you could definitely hear the impact of each hit.
Right.
Was it a little bit, just kind of eerie having it kind of silent when they were like dancing around? I know you had the commentary and stuff going on, but how eerie was it? Just, when there was, I'm sure there was dead sound every
Right.
once in a while. Of course, that's the announcer's job. You mentioned Rogan I assume Rogan was announcing, and what it wasn't pay-per-view or anything, was it, G?
No, it was. The undercard is free on ESPN, and then the main card is pay-per-view through ESPN Plus. But yeah, there were moments, especially when the fighters were walking out. That is when I found it odd. They had their music playing, and normally, they're walking out, giving people high fives and hyping themselves up. But there was nobody to talk to, nobody to high five, anything like that. So they all kind of just walked out. And yeah, I mean, right before the round's about to start, when everyone's kind of silent waiting for the rest to start it up, it's just kind of everybody's kind of sitting there looking at each other like this is kind of strange. So Yeah, I think the biggest change as a viewer was definitely hearing the impact of the shots and hearing the guys breathe and stuff like that. But it was definitely just nice to have sports back. I mean, they could have not even had commentators and I would have watched it.
Oh, really? So they actually you could like hear them breathing and stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, that's awesome. Now, let me ask you this, G? Does this kind of because we were talking about it last week on when the Korean baseball league started up, and now everyone was talking about it, and they didn't have any fans in the stadium It was all just regular, it was just regular baseball. It was almost like a practice for him, I would assume. But when after watching this, and everyone was watching it. I unfortunately didn't watch it, but I'm not really a UFC fan. But nor did I know that it was really going on, and unless I wouldn't have saw your tweets there, G. But was there what do you think this leads to for the leagues here in the future, for other leagues to really, they took a look at the ratings. I'm sure the ratings were off the chart, right? So if the ratings were so good, what do you think? Does this lead to some other leagues definitely swaying towards playing without fans? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the sentiment around the country from professional athletes has kind of shifted from the "we won't play for no fans" to like, well, we just want to play the game. There was a call this morning I read about on Twitter involving several of the All-Stars in the NBA. LeBron was included. And they said that they would love to play right now. They just want to finish the season. They want to have a playoffs,
Yeah.
the decision to bring a ring to LA. But it's wide open. It's a really open NBA season. I haven't really heard much. I know that the MLB, there seems to be quite a discrepancy between the owners and the players as to how it would resume as far as health concerns. But I just know that certainly the owners and management of all of these leagues want to follow suit with the UFC and find a way to make this happen as soon as possible. But at the same time, I think the athletes are going to pull the reins, especially college athletes. They're going to say, hey, like, we're not getting paid. Why should we go out there and risk our health, especially in, the pandemic still going on and the fact that the cases need to drop drastically before that would be an education, like a well-educated decision.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just think based on what we saw this weekend, like I mentioned, especially the ratings, I definitely think that this is kind of the right step for crowdless arenas, crowdless sports to really come back. And a couple topics later, when we discuss the golf, how's that affected? NASCAR. Obviously, there's certain sports where you really don't need the fan. Especially NASCAR, you know what I mean? And in golf, you got to be quiet anyway.
Right.
It might actually help them.
Right.
The fact that there are no fans at the tournament, or at the match, that might actually help. So we'll definitely see. I definitely agree that I was happy to see the ratings were so good. Everyone was talking about it on social media, so that's good to know. That was good to see. It makes me excited, right? That's the big point. It gets you excited because things are starting to get, obviously not to normal, but sports are coming back, right? So that's. Is there a fight coming up anytime soon again, or?
They've got an event tomorrow night and on Saturday this week. And based on some of the winners last Saturday, it has set up some really, really exciting potential fights. Could be a really good fight with Khabib. He could come back now and fight Gaethje, who just won on Saturday, and then Ngannou won on Saturday. He could fight DC, who was commentating, but he's got the heavyweight belt. So those would both be title fights that could be fought in the near future. That would be really exciting. I think the UFC is in a great position. They're the sport that has already resumed, and they're in a spot where they can continue on the path that they're on, and they've got some good fights coming up. And if there's nothing else to watch, they're only going to continue to grow.
For shizzle.
Yeah, we got some comments real quick. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Steve Fox, good to see you. He says, hey, guys, Jeff Collier, JC, back again, I see. Talk some smack. I love it. UFC makes their money on pay-per-view, much different than NBA. You may see golf without fans, but I doubt football, baseball, or basketball. It's tough to say. You got basketball. I know a lot of their money comes from TV money, right? So a lot of it comes from endorsements and TV, and that's why I'm curious. We'll go into the next topic here, but it kind of leads us in. It's a good segue, and that is NASCAR is set to have their first live race coming this Sunday, live from Darlington, and that leads me into a couple of questions. One, G, are you going to watch?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually, I'll be back in Nashville and I've got a couple buddies down there that are. I mean, it's the South. There's plenty of NASCAR fans to go around. So I got a couple buddies who watch every Sunday at my friend Zach's house. So we're probably gonna head over there and watch it. It'll be an opportunity for us to get back with some of our Nashville friends that we haven't seen, but also just an opportunity for us to drink beer and watch sports. I mean, it's been months, it seems like. I mean, we couldn't watch anything for months, so it'll be nice. I traditionally will go to a bar and watch a NASCAR race if there's nothing else to do on a Sunday, but I would not go out of my way to watch the Darlington race by any means, so that'll be different for me for sure. Yeah, this is definitely a race that I'm only watching because it's the only thing on.
Yeah. Well, I agree, and the good thing about it is, again, we mentioned it last week, and this was key, is any sport that comes out first, right, is going to be talked about. So you mentioned you're going to go, if sadly there probably won't be any bar. Are there any bars open in Nashville yet? Do you know of? Or
so actually the way Nashville is reopening, as of Monday, any establishment that sells 51% food or more, so no bars completely, but bars that make most of their money on food are open at 50% capacity. So,
oh, wow.
So like Callie and I will have our jobs down there as servers. We have to wear masks. We have to get temp checked every day when we come in. We're sanitizing every 30 minutes. It's a lot of new rules and restrictions that, you traditionally wouldn't have. But I think a lot of these warmer states are going to start opening up, and Nashville's following suit. Every 2 weeks they're reassessing and moving forward with the plan as long as the numbers look good. So we might be able to find somewhere to go. I don't think we're going to, just because there's no reason to expose yourself if you don't have to. So we're just going to go to a friend's house. We've all been quarantined, or at least trying our best to limit our exposure. So I think that's our plan. But yeah, there are places open in the South and in Georgia and Tennessee specifically that are open.
Okay, that's good to know. That's why I was curious. But yeah, you mentioned you'll probably just hang out at a buddy's place, drink some beers, and watch the race. Probably put down some betting, don't you think?
For shizzle.
I mean, probably should. Yeah.
I mean, I would. That's draw out of a hat. How many people you think would join in on the fun there?
Oh, I think we'd have a few. Yeah, I mean, it was I almost did on Saturday for the UFC fights, and now I'm wishing I would have, because I picked with a buddy of mine. We picked the winners of the 6 main fights, and I got 5 out of 6 right. So I'd have done pretty well on Saturday. I'm regretting it, but yeah, I mean, we might, just for fun, just a couple bucks here and there, nothing crazy, just to kind of get back in feeling that sports gambling again. It's been a while.
Yeah. So yeah, that leads me into mind. I'll probably tune in as well. I know a lot of buddies are gonna be watching it. It'll just be interesting to see. But I'll tell you what, they did an amazing job with the iRacing. I thought the iRacing was absolutely fantastic. Real. It looks real, except for the fans. You got the fans all in the stands, but they're not moving. So they're all just kind of images in the stands, which is kind of, it's still it's very eerie, because you even got people kind of standing out there and not moving, right? They're like frozen in position as the cars go by. It's really interesting to see. I don't know if you watched any of the iRacing, G, but it was pretty. They did again with all of this, almost a blessing in disguise, because the infrastructure that was put in place and all of the technology that was put in place. I mean, these guys were drinking a beer while they were racing in their own little setups at their places, right? So
for shizzle.
It was really interesting to see, and it looked real. It looked absolutely real, but you didn't have the excitement of actually being there, which is, you have to go to a NASCAR race to really appreciate it. Actually, it was like 100%. One of the first times we met was at MIS, right, G?
I think it might have been the first time we met.
Yeah,
MIS,
back when you were a wee young lad, headed out there with your dad, JC.
I was.
But yeah, that was. It's all the fun when you actually go to it live. Now, so you mentioned you're going to watch, and that's great, because obviously they need fans. You're going to watch any sports, right? And it's a good opportunity for all your buddies and stuff, everyone to get together. So that's great. And let me ask you, okay, so in my opinion, this is really, I'm not sure how this is going to affect sponsorships, because what happens is, NASCAR is a heavy sponsored sport. That's how they get a lot of the cash, right? Is sponsorships. It's probably the main sport, I guess, when it comes to sponsorships, and that says something. Maybe not so much anymore, considering most sports are nationally televised, internationally televised. But with the iRacing, a lot of the drivers still kept a lot of their sponsors, so that was kind of cool. That was cool to see, really, and it's good to see, because they were still on TV, right? So they were still on TV. What do you think? How does this affect, with no fans in the stands? Obviously, it's more of a TV sport, but with no fans in the stands, how do you think this affects the sponsorships of these NASCAR teams, or for any racing in general. What do you think, G?
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I mean, I would lean to the side that they're going to have more viewership. So I don't know that the sponsors wouldn't have any reason to pull out, right? I mean, traditionally NASCAR fights with a lot of different sports on a Sunday. You know, you've got NBA on ESPN and ABC on Sundays this time of year, and then towards the end of NASCAR season is when football starts on Sundays, and you're competing with the NFL. So you've got the two arguably biggest sports in the country competing with it on Sundays, normally on TV. So if those aren't going to be out for a while and NASCAR is the only thing on, I'd have to imagine their viewership would go up. And I don't see any sponsors miss. Do the fans in the stands pay more attention to the sponsors, or do the ads get run on TV and things like that? You know what I mean? Does that car go around 500 times and everybody sees the cover of the car? You don't see the top of the car when you're live. They're going too fast. You're looking at the side of it. So I think with the increased viewership, I think the sponsors will be just fine.
For shizzle.
Yeah, totally agree. That's that was my answer to the question is how will this affect sponsorships? I don't think that much. I mean, first and foremost,
right.
They didn't lose a lot of sponsorship. I don't believe maybe the sport as a whole, but in terms of each driver, each team, they really didn't lose a lot of sponsorship throughout all this. And of course they knew they were coming back eventually, but I just don't see them losing a lot. You bring up a good point. It's very difficult. You look for a car, when you're at the track, when you're live, when you're in the stands, you look for colors basically, right?
Yep.
Colors and a number.
Yeah.
You don't really know unless you're a really big fan of that driver who exactly their sponsors are. Now, when they're live on TV, that's going to be huge, right? That's going to be back. The iRacing was good. They could all the commercials and stuff, and they still had pretty good viewership for the iRacing. The problem was they played too much of the iRacing, because it was on Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night. It wasn't the big race. It was World of Outlaws, or they would have like amateur races. So that I think kind of hurt in terms of the ratings, but. I was really impressed with how they did it and how you can't do that really with any other sport, right? You can't stay at home unless you have maybe golf, like a golf simulator at home, and you just you all load up the same course, right? How would that go? What do you think about that, G? About having a little golf simulator and having them all just swing away?
I've got a couple buddies in Nashville that do. There's some really, really high level simulators down there. And they play in tournaments. They do 2 and 3 day tournaments down there, Friday through Sunday, for decent chunks of change on golf simulators. It's kind of interesting. I've never done it. I'm not very good, but some of my buddies that are a lot better golfers than I do it, and they say it's pretty fun. It'd be kind of interesting to see the guys. I mean, I'm sure a bunch of those pros have those setups at their house. That's a good idea. They probably should have done that at least a little bit.
I thought it would have been interesting. Again, all these sports are kind of feeding off each other, right? So I'm surprised people, if you're in an individual sport, minus obviously MMA or MMA, but UFC or boxing, any other individual sport where it doesn't involve actual human to human contact, right? Would be I think would be a blast. Steve Fox says I would watch the golf. Steve, you'll have to tell us how you are on the UFC stuff. I'm not sure if he's really big into that, but I think the golf would have been great. But it looks like, I don't know. I think they can come back with the golf. Go down to the states down south. Warm. Keep your social distancing. Obviously, all the players from that. Obviously, they didn't keep the social distancing in the fights, right?
Right.
They weren't wearing masks either, were they, G?
I don't know if it was required, but it seemed like dang near every coach was wearing them. But I think all the fighters and all their camps got tested. I mean, one of the fighters tested positive, even though he was asymptomatic, and his fight got scrapped. Luckily, he got tested when he got there, and because he had been exposed, they kept him isolated from everybody all week, so it didn't become a problem. I mean, I think the UFC, that is another thing I want to go back and give them credit for, is just the way that they handled it. Not just putting on still a good fight, but just making everyone that was in Jacksonville, Florida, feel comfortable having that big of an event there. None of the fighters got sick. None of the teams got sick. It seemed like it went really, really well. And like you said, golf could follow suit. NASCAR is clearly going to try to follow suit. I think it's slowly going to leak into other sports. Yeah.
Yeah, and like we said, everyone was talking about. I know all the sports talk shows were talking about the fights this weekend.
Right.
So it's exactly what we said. Once one sport goes, and we'll get into our next topic here in how long we've been going, G. Where's all my timers and stuff? Sorry, folks. Yeah, we got another couple seconds on this topic, but I really think that because of UFC and all the sports, I mean, they're still talking about today, Tuesday. I'm sure they'll be talking about it tomorrow because, again, that's one of the only things to talk about. I would have not known anything about UFC if all sports were going on right now. Of course, they talk about it a little bit, but when it's the only live sport that actually was occurring, they get all the media attention, and that's great. That's exactly what we were talking about. So I think NASCAR after this weekend, I'm sure even shows like I listen to The Herd a lot, and he doesn't talk about NASCAR at all, even though he's on FS1, which is Fox has all these races and FS1 does, so he doesn't do a lot of advertising for them. But I still think that even they'll be talking about it, don't you think, G?
I would think so. I mean, it seems like, again, whatever sports are on are going to get talked. I mean, if ESPN is airing Korean League baseball games, you would definitely think that NASCAR, an American sport that has been on ESPN in the past, is on Fox currently, would definitely get discussed at least a little bit.
Yeah, and I think if again, it's going to be a trickle effect, right? We got UFC, we got NASCAR coming, and that kind of leads us into our next topic, and that is the awesome idea of, this is going to be great, the golf showdown between Tiger, Phil, Tom, and Peyton, right? What do you think, G? Are you pretty hyped for this or what, man?
Man, I'm really excited. My dad is doing his best to ruin my excitement by saying that he could beat Tom Brady or Peyton Manning playing left-handed.
Okay.
He's trying to take all the fun out of it. But, like, I mean, I get that they're not great golfers, so their golf is not going to be fun. But, I mean, just to hear the way these guys can talk and talk junk to each other, and to watch Tiger and Phil play again is always going to be exciting. I think they both feel kind of bad for how poorly they played the last time they did this. So hopefully they'll play a little bit better. I think they'll be a little bit more loose with Peyton and Tom around. They might bet a little bit more, and they might just talk a little bit more crap. But yeah, I'm super excited. And again, it comes in a lull for sports. There's everybody wants to watch something right now. I think it's the perfect time for it. And also Phil and Tiger are both on the backside of their careers. You know, in a couple of years, this won't be worth watching anymore. So I think it's another opportunity for us to see two of the greats against two of the greats out of their element. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Steve asked, do you know if is it pay-per-view?
I'm not sure. The first one was, but me and my dad made the mistake of watching it. We watched the whole thing, and it just was terrible. So if this one's pay-per-view, I don't know. I'll be hard-pressed to buy it, honestly. But I'll follow along on Twitter, and if 4 holes in it sounds like they're playing all right, I'll go ahead and buy it.
Yeah, boy, I hope it's not. That'd be a major mistake to have at pay-per-view, even though the UFC fight was, right?
Right.
So we'll see.
Right. No, I agree.
Sorry, Steve, we're not really sure. My mom says it should be awesome. I think it will be awesome, but you're absolutely. I totally agree, G. With the, it's going to be interesting to hear how they trash talk to each other. You know, like Peyton and Tom are really good friends. Phil and Tiger, probably pretty good. I assume all these guys are pretty good friends on and off. So
what?
It's
kind of hates. I think Phil kind of drives him nuts. But it'll be interesting to see, because yeah, you're right. Peyton and Tom are good friends, and then I think they're both kind of friends with both golfers. I think it's going to be a really interesting dynamic. Just like you said, listen to them talk and talk junk. I mean, the last time it was funny because Tiger said, you know, he's like, I'll bet Phil on every hole for whatever makes Phil uncomfortable. Like, he just loves pushing Phil's buttons, and Phil's got a gambling problem, so it makes for a fun dynamic.
Exactly.
It should be an interesting afternoon.
Yeah, that's Steve says if it's Steve Fox says if it's pay-per-view, no thanks. You think that's going to hurt ratings if it is pay-per-view?
Oh, it always does. You can't compete with free TV. If you've got a cable subscription and that's on, right, there's nothing else on. But if it's pay-per-view, that's at least going to lose 5, 10, 15% of people who would have watched it, if not more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so hopefully, like I said, I hope that it's not. Maybe if someone wants to look it up real quick, unfortunately, we're a little busy right now trying to maybe have JC. I'm sure he might be in the background there. Have him look it up real quick. But yeah, I'm not sure if it is pay-per-view. I don't know. Maybe my mom knows. Mom, maybe you could look it up. Because she's been looking forward to it. Also, belated Happy Mother's Day to any mothers that are watching out there. Thanks again for joining us on the A to G Show 2.0. Garrett Collier, live from Jackson, Michigan. I'm Adam Amble, live from Castle Rock, Colorado. Thanks for joining us tonight. Again, leave your comments or your likes in the comment section here on Facebook. We are live on YouTube as well. So let us know what you think. We enjoy having you tonight. We're still kind of talking about the match of the year already, because that's pretty much all that there's been, right?
Right.
G? Right. Do you happen to know the teams by chance? It's 2-on-2. It's 2 versus 2, right?
It's Peyton and Phil versus Tom and Tiger, which made it very easy for me to pick who I'm rooting for, because I like Tom more than Peyton and I like Tiger more than Phil. So it was a very easy decision which team I'm going to root for.
Yep, that's going to be my team too. Shocker. I'm sure does your dad have something to say about that? What do you got, JC?
Phil, which is really going to make it hard for me to pick, because now I like half of both teams.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. We got some comments here. JC, of course. Dustin Johnson with Roy McIlroy versus Ricky Fowler and Matthew Wolff in Skins game this Sunday at 2 p.m. on the Golf Channel. Interesting. But come on, we want to see Tom, man. Exciting. We want to see Tom swing the wrenches. So Zach French says, golf on pay-per-view. I'll watch paint dry.
He says it is not the big match will not be pay-per-view. It will be on TNT.
Yeah. Okay, so you're that's confirmed by your dad.
Yes, sir.
All right, right on. Well, thanks, our assistant, basically, right? Thanks, JC.
Right, yeah.
One of our favorite viewers, right? That's fantastic. Thanks, JC. Steve Fox says, I thought it was pay-per-view. I think they are trying to raise money. That's true. I do remember that. There's all like, aren't they donating it a lot to charity and stuff, or?
Yeah, I don't think there's like a winning purse. I think it's a combined pot. Winners give it to their charity gets it, I believe. Yeah.
So let me ask you this, G, do you happen to know, and maybe anyone watching, Dave Grezig, always good to hear you. You too, Dave. Hope everything's going all right. Steve Fox says, okay, very good. We'll watch then if it is indeed not pay-per-view. I think that's the way to go. Hopefully it's not. We're going to trust JC on that one. I know it's tough trusting a Sparty fan, but we'll do our best, right, G?
He's putting honest work in. We'll take it.
Okay, and he's doing some good comments. JC says combined they are donating $10 million.
That's crazy. That's insane.
That's
a big number, man.
That's pretty good. So we'll I'm definitely good at too. That's gonna be a great thing to watch. So that's good stuff right there. Do you know if any fans are allowed? Let's ask that question. Anyone out there know if fans?
I would imagine not. They didn't have very many people there when they played the first time, even, and that wasn't during the coronavirus health scare. So I would imagine I don't think there will be fans there.
What? The only reason I ask is because I would curious if there's any put in some social distancing. Where's it at, by the way? I don't even know where it's at.
That's another really good question. I'm not sure. I haven't looked into it. I hadn't really heard. I kind of forgot it was happening, to be honest with you. And then I saw one of the four guys tweeted a couple days ago something about it, or they were interviewed. I haven't really looked into it yet. I'm just excited for something to watch that's golf related,
Yeah. Yeah, and it should be. What does anyone know what channel it's on? They should be. I'm surprised they're not advertising the crap out of it. You know what I mean?
Well, it's on Turner's got it. It's on TNT and TBS. So that's probably why you're not seeing it. It's because you don't watch those channels right now traditionally.
Well, that's false. I watch TBS almost every morning because.
Oh, do you?
Well, you got Seinfeld on early on, and then you got Friends is on until about noon. So. Working from home, you got the TV on or the other monitor on, and then
Fair enough.
You get all your work done and stuff. Hopefully, no one from work is listening right now. But
right.
But let's see. My mom, JC says the medalists in Hobart, South Florida. My mom chimes in with Florida, so obviously the tournament's in Florida. Bob Heiler, good show so far. Enjoying listening. Good to see you, Adam. You too, Bob Heiler. Good to see you too, man. Jeff Collier, TNT and TBS, 3 p.m., just like you said, Turner, G. So G strikes again. That's way to go, man. Yeah! So let's move on to this, again, another good segue into another. We're just trying to find something to entertain us, right, G? So let's move into our topic number 4, and that is episodes 7 and 8 of The Last Dance last Sunday night.
Sunday, yeah.
These things are incredible. I'm enjoying them, and I know I don't know what it's like for you, G. I'm gonna get your opinion here in a second, but let me go into a little story. You know, we mentioned it last week, and how I just was not. I hated the Bulls. I'm sure most of you watching probably hated the Bulls, especially if you're as old, if not older than I am, maybe even a little younger. You know, back when the Bad Boys just got such a bad rap for playing physical, but I mean, the Lakers played physical. The Celtics played physical. I know, Steve, you probably would agree to that. Not maybe to the degree as the Bad Boys did, but you really had physical. You know, the Knicks played physical even into the early 90s, and I really hate the rap that the Bad Boys get simply because of the Jordan thing, right? I heard someone say this morning, I think it was not Skip Bayless, but Shannon Sharp on what is Undisputed. And Shannon Sharp says Isaiah Thomas was, I don't know if I definitely don't agree with this, but Isaiah Thomas he said that Isaiah Thomas was the exact same player as Michael Jordan, except for everyone liked Michael Jordan. Everyone just hated Isaiah Thomas. I see they just, ESPN came out with their top, 60 or 70. I don't know if you've seen this, G, but their top 60 or 70. And Isaiah was like at number 30. Just no respect for Isaiah. No one likes Isaiah, and he was a great player. Unfortunately, you didn't get to see him play, G, but he was a great player. Now, when every time I watch an episode of this MJ series, The Last Dance, all I can think of is how when it first came out, you know, Michael was worried that people were going to hate him afterwards. You know, we mention this every week.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, oh, you know, Michael himself was worried, right? This is going to portray me as a bad person, a jerk. And yeah, he kind of is a little bit, you know, kind of a gambler, kind of but I'm respecting him more and more and more. And it's great to see some of the emotion from MJ. It's great to see some of the feeling. You know, I loved when he was watching that the Gary Payton replay. When I really like how it's produced too, how they're showing, like they give him what the other players have said, and he's got it right on that iPad there, and they replay the footage, and they show him, they show Jordan like live of watching the actual footage, and it is awesome to see him, how he laughs, how he gets teared up a little bit, how he gets upset a little bit. So, G, what were your thoughts on episodes 7 and 8 this last Sunday?
Yeah, I think the coolest part was we've all seen that famous picture of him after he won the chip for his dad on Father's Day after his dad had passed. We'd all seen that picture, but you'd never heard it was cool to get a little bit more insight into that.
For shizzle.
I failed to mention it last week. I loved still from episodes, I don't know if it was 5 or 6, just the Dream Team practices that they've talked about. Those are some of my favorite things that they've discussed. I mean, the guys that were in those practices, that were in that gym, they got to see those guys play. That's got to be a crazy memory for all of them. And it is super unfortunate that Isaiah wasn't on those teams. Michael made it very clear that he said he would not have. He never said Isaiah's name, but it was very clear that he would not have played on that team if Isaiah was on it, which stinks. But still, that squad was crazy. It would have been so cool to have been in that gym. I'm so sad that these are the last 2 episodes coming out this week, because I don't want it to end. It's been fantastic. Like I said from day one, I'm not a Jordan guy, just like you. I'm not a LeBron guy. I'm not an anybody guy as far as the GOAT conversation goes. So I just have tried to enjoy it, and it's been fantastic. It's one of the better ESPN docuseries I've ever seen.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was saying on how the production of it. It's artistically put together really well, don't you think, G? It's just been. I love the storylines. I like how they're doing like the timeline thing of, you know, from '96, and then they'll zoom back to like in the '80s, and then they keep zooming in closer and closer and closer while they're actually doing the '90s. Was it the '96, '97 season or whatever?
'98.
98, the last season there. And I think that's really cool how they do that. Again, I like the production value of it. It's been really great. We got some comments here. Tim Collier, good to see you, Tim. Tiger and Peyton favored to win. That was kind of our last subject there. Steve Fox agreed with. I'm not sure what Steve was agreeing with there. Hopefully the Celtics comment there on how physical the game was. Steve's a big Celtics fan. I think he's definitely their favorite team. Zach French's Last Dance was great. Got to see more emotion from MJ. Exactly. That's kind of what we just were saying. Chrissy Greer, hi Chrissy. Love the series. JC might be my geriatric status, but I did not even make it through the first 4 episodes. He was sleeping, actually. Puts the Z's there. That's not shocking. And I binge watched all 7 episodes of The Tiger King.
He did. That's okay. So it's my fault that he said Tiger King. Callie, we're about halfway through the first episode, and we're like, we gotta watch this with my dad. He'll think it's hilarious. And yeah, he's not wrong. He has not made it through. We finished golfing 18 holes a couple weeks ago, and we're like, let's go home and watch the MJ. And he passed out before the new episodes even came on.
That's disappointing, JC. But we do know when you get up in that age, I guess that's what you get. You know, it's
right.
And it is on kind of. You know, it's out here. Luckily in the mountain time zone here, 2 hours later. So I know it's probably a little tough for some people to watch it, but still, that doesn't mean that you can't record them and
you can watch it whenever.
Yeah, exactly.
It's on the app.
Come on, use the technology, JC. You're binge watching Tiger King and you can't even watch The Last Dance. What the heck, man? Unbelievable. But anyway, Bob Heiler says easy on the age thing, JC. Michael Jordan Michael Jordan was and is the greatest basketball player ever. But the show didn't really do anything for me. Ooh, man, I think that's a poke at you again, just trying to get you all fired up about LeBron and stuff like that. Don't you think, JC?
Yeah!
Or don't you think, what do you think, G? You think that's a little poke at you?
I'm just going to let it go. I said I don't have a dog in the fight. Kobe was my guy anyway, so I digress on the topic.
Okay, fair enough. Well, let's keep rolling here. We got our last... kind of our last fun. Well, hold on. We got a couple more minutes, I guess you'd say on. So what? Okay, so the series ends. What has your opinion been of Michael Jordan, especially coming from someone who didn't really get to see him play? You had a little Twitter battle going on earlier this. I believe it was earlier last week or later last week, I believe, and it was. How the defense, there was a clip and how the defense just wasn't.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Explain that one a little bit because, you know, you got a lot of people saying the defense now is terrible.
Right. I'm just tired of, so the video that I shared was Larry Bird decided one night, they were playing the Lakers the next night in a back-to-back and they were playing Portland and he said he didn't respect Portland. So he was going to play them with his left hand. The man shot 8 of 11 with his offhand that night. And I said if anyone tried that in today's NBA, they would get swatted into the 6th row on all 11 shots. It would not work on jumpers. I get the guys have offhand layups, offhand finishes around the rim. No one could switch hands and shoot jump shots in today's NBA because the defense is too good. Unless James Harden is guarding you, I'm positive that wouldn't go. And I also hate the argument that it's not physical anymore. When there are hour-long clips on YouTube of guys getting into scuffles because people foul them too hard right now. And I understand that they did fight as much in the 80s and 90s, but they want to say that they just took the fouls and moved on because they were men and now they're crybabies. But it's just, I don't know, that narrative is annoying to me. I think I respect Michael Jordan. I think he's a great basketball player. I think those Bulls teams were incredible. I think the Pistons teams, the Lakers teams, the Celtics teams, all those teams in that era have their place. Yeah! The Rockets with Olajuwon and Malone were great, but it's a different game now, absolutely. But to say that far and away those 80s and 90s teams would run through today's teams is so silly. Considering I've never seen an 80 and 90s team have to defend a 30-foot shot from the hoop because no one could shoot out there back then. It's a totally different game. So to try to compare them is silly, and I'm just sick of the narrative that today's NBA is so much softer for some reason. People seem to think that.
Well, here's the problem, and I think here's where the argument arises, G, is I don't think it's softer. Obviously, these guys are freaks of nature, probably the best athletes in the world, especially for their size, right? You know, you can argue football players, you can argue hockey players in terms of skill and coordination.
Right.
But when it comes to sheer, I mean, you got guys. Look at, we talked about this last week. LeBron James, what is he, 6'9", 270,
right,
and is probably one of the best athletes in the world of, and if not in the world of all time, right? Of all time.
Yep. 100%.
And you can't really sit there and tell me that these guys are soft. You know what I mean? What I think the narrative is the problem that arises from that argument is they play better D nowadays. And Steve Fox actually brings up a good point. I just saw it actually. Steve Fox, they play better D today because of the 3, right? You got to get out on people. There's just much more going on. And they are 500. Sorry, G, what was that?
No, I completely agree. I think that the defense has gotten better because the court has expanded. You have to be quicker, you have to be faster, you have to switch more often. It's much more difficult to play defense in the NBA now than it was back then.
Yeah, I agree. The range is just now. I think that evolved because again, I think these guys are just that much better of athletes than they were back in the day. That's all there is to it. You're absolutely right. And that goes back to could a player go out and say, "Oh, they're so bad that I'm just gonna go out and play left-handed and shoot left-handed, all left-handed." You think that would fly today? Absolutely not. Simply because everyone is that much better of an athlete. And that's what I'm kind of getting at now. When it comes to the strength, the problem is I'm not doubting these guys' strength, but my argument would be there's so much more. Let's just say, longevity in football. Same thing. The rules are put in place to where you can't do a lot of the things that you could back in the day, right? I think that's where the argument comes in. Is they foul just as hard, but guess what? Nowadays, you might get suspended, you might get fined, all that stuff. That didn't happen back in the day. Heck, they used to get in fights and not even get kicked out of the game. You know what I mean? That is something. I think that's where the argument kind of arises. What do you think? Does that make sense, G, on how it's not so much that these guys can't take it. Obviously, these guys are amazing athletes. They can take it. They can take it. Trust me, folks. There's no joke about that. But the fact of the matter is they just don't do it anymore. That's not as physical because of the repercussions that are going to happen if they do that. What do you think of that, G?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that the rules have absolutely changed, and that's part of the reason the game is different for two reasons. The three-point shooting and the rules have changed. That's it. It's the only reason the game of basketball changes because the rules constantly evolve, and the range that these shooters have continues to get further and further from the hoop. I think I actually read something on Twitter that supposedly during Kobe's last season, they had a camera crew following them around similar to how Jordan did. And ESPN is working on a docuseries about that and about Kobe's life. And I'm really excited for that. Obviously, one, because I'm a huge Kobe fan and rest in peace, Kobe. But would love to see that series about him. But also because I think it will prove that, like, those Lakers practices were no joke compared to those Bulls practices where Jordan was bossing people around and being kind of the bully to make them better. Kobe did the same thing. And those intense battles that Kobe had with those Pistons teams, those battles internally that he had with Shaq, those battles he had with those Pacers teams that were really good, even those Spurs teams that were really good, those were physical, hard-fought basketball games just like in the 80s and 90s. And I think when that series comes out, it'll prove it.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, I will tell you this, G, watching The Last Dance and watching some of those finals and those basically the NBA playoffs. If the playoffs came back today, I would probably be watching every single game because it just got me pumped again. It got me back to, and my mom obviously remembers this. I'm not sure if my younger sister Allison mentioned this last week. The only reason she knew the Bad Boys or the Bulls was because of Motor City Madness, the VHS tape that I had of the Pistons. And oh my gosh, that used to get me pumped. I used to go play basketball every time after watching that. And it used to just get me pumped, feel like a little kid again. You know what I mean? So that's and now I really want to get into this. I just think I'm fiending for sports in general, but I would really consider watching all the NBA playoff games. We don't know yet. They're still hanging it out there, right?
Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I think let's hope they do something. Even if it's without fans, I'd love to watch it on TV. Like I said, I just think we're all fiending for some live sports. Obviously, the UFC thing last weekend, NASCAR coming up this weekend. I know a lot of people are going to watch. The Last Dance has been fantastic. Just new stuff. We're kind of getting sick of watching replays, and we're all going to be. We're slowly coming back. So let's see what we got. I know I know Ferris State actually just announced that they're going to have students in the fall. Yeah. They're going to go to class. That's great to hear. I'm not sure. Steve Fox might have a little background on what Coleman's going to do. Any plans there? We got some other comments here. Zach French says they're not as competitive in the 80s and 90s. They weren't friends when the game started, and now they're all buddies.
That's just not true. I mean, I get that there are players there are little groups of players, right? Like Dwayne Wade, Chris Paul, Carmelo Anthony, and LeBron are all best friends. That's fine. But I can promise you Karl Anthony Towns and Joel Embiid have as much hate for each other as Isaiah and Michael Jordan did. I promise you Rajon Rondo, Patrick Beverley, and the rest of the point guards in the league all hate each other. It's just not – it's not true. Russell Westbrook and the entire Thunder team hate each other because Russ left. Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook hate each other. Sure, they all make All-Star game because they have to. You can't be fighting during an All-Star game. It was the same way back then. You would watch Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson mess around during the All-Star game, but do you think they wanted to lose to each other when they played in the like? That's such a silly argument that they're friends now so that they don't play as hard. That's a joke. All the college guys were friends in high school from AAU. When the games didn't matter, they were playing for film. Do you think when they're at Duke and North Carolina, they don't want to beat each other? Like that argument has never made any sense to me. You can be competitive between the lines, and then when the last whistle blows, be friends. That's absolutely a thing that can happen.
Mm-hmm. And to be honest with you, I think most of these guys were friends. I think you're only replying. I don't see a lot of hatred between even back in the
only
80s.
Isaiah and Michael. Only Isaiah and Michael.
That's what I was getting at. Is I think it sounds like only Isaiah and Michael, and I think Michael was more liked because he hated Isaiah, right? So you got a lot of the other players. Everyone else kind of teamed up against Isaiah simply because they did not like him. So
and you know what? The other thing that it makes me think is like, who were you the most competitive with growing up? Your best friends. Like those were the kids in sports that you wanted to. Me and my best friend Storm played hours of one-on-one basketball on my driveway, and I promise I played harder in those one-on-one games than any middle school or high school game I ever would have played. Like that, to say that because they're friends the game isn't as intense is crazy to me.
Yeah, that's a good point. Let's see. Steve Fox says CMU is opening up or going to open up in the fall. That's great. Bob Heiler, friends or not, they're professionals and friendships stop during their games. Of course, it happened in high school for crying out loud.
Right.
I had buddies playing football. I had buddies on a rival
teams,
school.
Yeah. Right.
That would, I was quarterback and they used to sack me and rub me into the dirt or throw an INT or whatnot. And guess what? We would go hang out after the game. You know what I mean? That's being competitive. And we're talking about high school kids. We're not even talking about professionals.
Paid. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So, sorry, Zach French. I think you might have got put down there. But thanks for watching anyway, though, pal. All right, buddy. Well, let's move into our next topic. This is a fun one. This is a game we kind of introduced last week, and it got everyone kind of liked it. So yeah. Let's move into some dreaded BNO, some both, none or one. Now we kind of changed the rules here. G, you only get to got to pick either or, and you only get one like trump of both or one trump of none. So I got 10 for you. And I think you got some for me this week as well. So let's move into that, buddy. And let's see. I'm gonna go to split screen real quick here, and
all right,
let's see what we got. I'm gonna go first. We'll go back and forth with the questions. How about that? We got about 13 minutes left of the show. So again, feel free to tune in to any of these guys. We'll read your answers as well. We got a few more comments, and that's Steve Fox. Remember Isaiah and Magic kissing before each game of the 8A finals? Right. Yeah, Steve. I mean, you're a very you're probably the expert. Steve is a whiz when it comes to sports, especially historical sports. Back then, Steve, let us know what were your thoughts on it, like how they got along back in the day. When compared to right now, because you obviously watch them, I mean, what was your opinion? I guess you'd say, did the Celtics hate the Pistons? Yeah, as a team, they probably hated the Pistons, right? But did the players hate each other? I'm not sure. So let's get back into some B&O. So first of all, G, I got my first one for you, and that is theme park or zoo, buddy.
Oh, theme park. I love roller coasters. That's
right
my
on.
jam.
Right on. Yeah, I gotta go with theme park as well. Now, name your favorite roller coaster of all time.
Millennium Force. Easy.
My man. Yep. Easy. Same here. That is great. That's by far the Raptor's pretty cool too. But
yeah.
The Raptor's cool because when you enter Cedar Point, it's like the first roller coaster in there. So that's pretty fun.
Well, not anymore. They got the Gatekeeper now.
Yep, the Gatekeeper right there. Yeah, that's kind of cool with the one with the side by side there. That's pretty cool. JC says the blue streak. Oh, JC. Oh, I think you were probably right when they built that thing. You were probably what, 30? I don't know.
He was probably there.
Yeah, exactly. Were you one of the original architects of the blue streak, JC?
He was just the first dude in the door.
The blue streak. It's almost as bad as the mean streak, which isn't there anymore. Have you got to the Steel Vengeance is a pretty good.
Yeah, I haven't been in 2 years, so I haven't seen any of the brand new ones. The year that I went, I think might have been the first or second year of the Gatekeeper. It's been a minute. I think Callie and I are planning on a little road trip back to Michigan this summer, including a pit stop at Cedar Point for sure.
Oh, tell you, that would be awesome. You have to let me know.
Yeah.
I know Yeah, I'd like to take Jess there as well because
Right.
I don't think she's never been to Cedar Point, but it's awesome. It's awesome. Steve Fox
Yeah.
did reply back. He says they got along and respected each other, but it was all business on the floor. Bird and Dr. J respected each other, but got into a fight during a preseason game one time. So preseason, these guys are professional athletes. I think, Bob Heiler hit the nail on the head. These guys are professional athletes. They're competitive. They're not there because they're nice guys, right? They're not there because they don't have that killer instinct. Michael was just better at it. He just had more of a killer instinct, it seemed like. All right, G, what do you got for what's your first question, bud?
Well, mine, I thought I needed to do groups of 3 because you get a both, none, or one for my group of 3. So I'm going to run through 3 of them if that's all right.
Oh, yeah, that works.
All right, so I figured as far as GOAT quarterback, we would both say Tom Brady. So I've got who is your next, Breeze or Peyton Manning?
Peyton Manning.
Oh, okay. So you've used your one, so now you got to use. I guess it doesn't really matter. We can do it either. I would say Breeze. Drew Brees is my guy. I think he's short. I like him. He's got a cannon. So running back, I figured we'd both probably say Barry Sanders because we're Detroit fans. So I got Emmitt Smith or Walter Payton.
Let's see. What do I got? I got to pick both or neither.
Yeah.
Well, this one I can go with neither because I think Barry Sanders is the greatest. So.
Fair enough. Yeah, I would probably take my neither here too, just because I've never.
Oh God, what's the both? What's the both question though? Did you screw me over?
So we're going to. No, I didn't. We're going to wide receiver, and I figured it was a toss up between Randy Moss or Jerry Rice, and you just ended up with both.
Right on.
So
yeah.
Your team of Peyton Manning, Jerry Rice, and Randy Moss might do all right. So I think you're all right.
Right on. I like it. Bob Heiler said Jenna Maddox says we will come along. I assume she means to Cedar Point. Bob Heiler, the Blue Streak rocked it in its day. Steve Fox obviously picked Walter Payton in the one of the. These guys, well, Bob Heiler and JC are pretty close to the same age, buddy. So we'll let it slide there. Yeah. Geez, now riding modern day roller coasters, guys, they might have a heart attack. I think there might be an age limit, so I don't think you guys could ride like Millennium or the Gatekeeper or the Maverick is a good one too. Sorry, we got caught up on roller coasters, but Steve Fox says Jerry Rice. Now, don't forget, Steve. You can't just pick one or the other. You got to use if we're going old rules. So, okay. Next one is okay. Here's one for you: movie theater or home theater.
I would take I'll say both, but I would prefer like if I had a sweet home theater because I hate going there because like every 4 or 5 movies you get that jerk behind you that won't shut up or popcorn super loud through a quiet movie or whatever. So I guess I would pick home theater just because I don't want to hear other people.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would. I'm gonna pick movie theater, and because I love the theater popcorn. My dad was a big fan of going to the theater, and to be honest with you, I don't get it, but you just can't beat the surround sound, the quality.
No, you can't. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
But I like your point too. Of you never know, or you get the jerk that sits in front of you that is too tall, or you got kids back there screaming and whatnot. So
man, listen, I think we can all agree if you bring a baby to a movie, you're a piece of crap. That's
what's the point of even doing that? Why would you even bring? Yeah.
If I see a baby, I'm like, I'll come to the next viewing. I'm just gonna go walk around the mall for a while because I can't do it.
Yep. Take a rain check, right? Steve Fox says movie theater. Yeah, I think that's more of a. But I'll tell you what though, if you had a bomb
that's what
home
I'm saying.
theater,
if I had something sweet.
Yeah, which is one of my other questions coming up later. Okay, what do you got? Or you want me to do a couple more there, G?
You can fire a couple out. Go for it.
Let's do this. Would you rather have? Oh, this kind of goes right along with it. Great visuals or great sound? Now, being a musician, this is a little tough for you, I bet.
I want to use a both here, but I guess I'll force myself to choose one. I guess sound, because to me, music is better than movies. I know that it's probably a hot take that people aren't going to agree with, but if I had to choose between like never listening to music again or never watching a movie again, I'd stop watching movies in a heartbeat to be able to listen to music. So I guess I would pick sound over visuals for sure.
Yeah, same here. I was thinking sound simply because a lot of it, we could do this whole show based on just a podcast, right? I think we get more listeners actually than viewers. It's just fun doing it visually. I like the production and everything. It's a good time just doing it. So, but I do put these, I will kind of, I'm going to do a little project here soon when we got about 10 episodes in. I'm going to put them all on SoundCloud or iTunes and and Google Play. So we will have the podcast out, folks. If you missed the show or you just want a good reminder of what we were talking about, hopefully you listen to it.
Right.
We got a couple Steve Fox's movie theater. My mom says now they have recliners and drinks. Yeah, you can actually drink in the movie theaters now, G. Little alcohol. I know you just turned 21 a couple years ago, but I mean, geez, back in the day, I mean, your dad probably back in the day when they were playing gray or black and whites, and they had like the reels, they probably had to turn. Yep, they had to turn it. Yeah, unbelievable. Bob Heiler says sound.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to go with sound on that if I had to pick one or the other. So I'm going to do one more. Here's one for you. What would you skydive or deep sea scuba diving?
Deep sea scuba dive, and it's not close because I would never jump out of a perfectly good plane. Why would you waste a perfectly good plane? The only time I'm jumping out of a plane is if I'm ordered to for some reason.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Well, you're almost, if the draft ever comes back, you're almost out of the legal age, so you might be
Thank
okay
goodness. They would not want me. I promise. I'm a baby.
I don't know. They might want that guy that claims he can run a sub 21-minute 5K. So don't forget, JC, if you're still listening, buddy.
Oh, no.
JC said, would rather be deaf than blind, I think. That kind of takes deaf than blind.
He's saying for sound or visuals, he's saying he'd rather give up sound because he wants to be able to see. So that's fair. I was just thinking of it as far as like entertainment goes. I would rather still have sound, but yeah, that's a good point, I guess.
Okay. All right, G, fire back at me. What do you got, man?
All right, I've got a couple non-sports related ones. I've got Memorial Day since it's coming up. So I've got Memorial Day or 4th of July. Which is your favorite holiday?
Oh, I like that, G. That's a solid one. I'm gonna go with the Memorial Day, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I love fireworks, love them to death. But now in my adult life and having a day job, right? Memorial Day is always on a Monday, so you always get that 3-day weekend.
You get a day off work, yeah.
4th of July, for a fact, can lay in a Wednesday or a Tuesday, and guess what? You get the 4th of July off. What are you gonna party the night before? And then, then celebrate the 4th of July. And a lot of times fireworks are on the actual 4th of July. You got to go to bed at a decent time. You got to wake up early on the 5th and go to work. So that's one of the older reasons. What about you?
I would say Memorial Day for a different. Memorial Day has always just simple.
Yeah.
I'm still close to being in school. It wasn't that long ago. So Memorial Day to me signifies like summer is here. Like. It's about to be summer. You don't have to go to school anymore.
I like that. That's a good call.
Stay out later, and it's like that first lake day maybe if it's warm enough in Michigan. But now that we're going to be in Tennessee, it'll definitely be warm enough. So
yeah, I like that. That's a good point too.
Yeah. Similarly related, I got to go with. Would you rather take a summer vacation or a winter vacation?
Hold on one second, buddy. We got some comments. We got to read real quick. Steve Fox says Memorial Day. JC says Memorial Day starts the summer. Tim Collier has to be the 4th. It is the wedding anniversary. Okay, yeah, you better say that, Tim. You don't want to get in trouble by the old wife, right? JC says plus we have fireworks on Memorial Day now. That's a good point. Now a lot of cities are doing Memorial Day fireworks, 4th of July, and Labor Day fireworks. Pretty much the whole start of the summer, midsummer, and summer. So that's pretty cool. Okay, what was your next question? Take a summer vacation or a winter vacation?
Yeah.
Are you talking about like going somewhere or actually just
going somewhere? So like in the summer, if you're going to go somewhere, you're just going to get warmer probably. But in the winter, you can go south and get warm when it would have been cold where you were at.
What? I'm going to go with a winter vacation. And the reason I say this, G, is because that is a perfect point. In the winter, you are just aching for that sunshine, especially being from Michigan. Me and you both know not a lot of sunlight. Now that you're in Tennessee, I'm in Colorado. We're going to get more sunlight, obviously, than we did in Michigan. Michigan's like the second most cloudiest state behind like Washington State, I guess it is. If I think that stat's still correct, but. For a fact in February, early March, around early, right before St. Patty's Day, you just want to get out. You want to see some sun. You want to feel that heat, and there is no better feeling. Is that kind of where you're at too, G?
Yeah, that's definitely where my head was. I mean, I took a trip to Nashville one year in December, and it was only like 45 or 50 degrees, but I was walking around in a hoodie and shorts, playing basketball outside, stuff like that, just because you want to get anything that doesn't feel like winter feels so good.
For shizzle.
Stuck in Michigan for 5 months in the snow.
Yep, exactly. All right, buddy. We got time for one more each, I think. We're a little over our time, but thanks a lot, everyone, for hanging in there with us. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the tuning in first and foremost. So, JC says neither. Give me a golf trip in the spring. Oh, geez.
That's not a bad call. I can't argue with it.
Yeah.
I can't argue with it.
Of course, he's got to be against us, right? Gee, it's not even the question. You got throwing a spring, JC. Whatever.
Right.
Tim Collier says nothing like a summer motorcycle trip. I hunt in the winter. Okay, that's fair enough. That's a good point. Yep. Especially for the motorcycle enthusiasts out there. What do you got for the last one, buddy?
All right, I've got a staple that you and I think are going to disagree. Beer or liquor? You can only drink one, or I guess you could. Don't take both because that's cheating. Obviously, we want both. But if you got to pick one.
I'll go with beer.
Yeah?
Yeah. I will because liquors, I got a little cocktail here tonight. It's just a sipping drink for me. But I'll tell you what, if you wanna have a good time, I mean, all the watch parties at M Factor Studios. I mean, it was normally a beer. You can't beat Natty Light at the track. You can't beat some Pabst Mosas. You just going to Applebee's, grabbing some Brutuses.
True.
It's beer to me is just so great to drink with an actual meal, a burger, a steak. You got to have it. And then if you just if you're planning on making some, you're just having a terrible morning, you can drink some Natty Light, drink a 30 of Natty Light all day, all night, and we'll see how you feel. So what about you, G?
I disagree. I could be the millennial in the conversation and say neither. I'll take a seltzer, but I'm not going to do that.
They're getting better and better. So
they are.
What?
The Bud Light Mango is for anyone listening that wants to try a good seltzer. The Bud Light Mango is the move. But
What?
I would choose liquor. Since I moved to Nashville the first time, I got really into whiskey and playing shows, and they let you drink for free. I've got to try some different stuff everywhere I've gone. You can always make a mixed drink if you're not trying to get slammed. You can have a whiskey and Coke or whatever you want to do. So that would be my choice. But I mean, it's hard. It would be hard to leave behind beer. That's for sure.
Okay. Yeah, we got pretty much everyone. It's across the board. Beer for Steve Fox, beer for JC, beer for Timmy. Zach French says beer pong and flip cup would be rough with liquor. That's a good call. Bob Heiler says beer.
Point.
Well, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. A lot of the older crowd says beer. So yeah, I'm surprised because I think again, G. I think hard liquor is more of a sipping. A good thing of whiskey, a couple good mixed drinks. That's solid. It's rough to get all messed up or have a lot of adult beverages on mixed drinks. Beer.
Oh yeah,
beer
the next day sucks.
Yeah,
That's
beer is just safe, right? So
that's true.
Let's go. I got one more for you, buddy, and then we'll wrap it up. Here we go. We got good guitar or good singer.
Oh, you can't do that to me.
Yeah. See, I was trying to appeal to the musician in you. So,
man. Obviously, I want to pick both. But I'll play your game. I guess, are the lyrics good?
No, good singer. Yeah. I'm not gonna say songwriter. I'm gonna say singer. And a good singer can turn crappy lyrics into a good song, right? So
I'm gonna say,
because I know you like both. So
I'm gonna say good guitar because I can. I don't know. That's such a hard decision. I would pick guitar because the lyrics can be good and the singer can just be butchering them. As long as there's a good guitar, I'd pick guitar.
Okay, fair enough.
That's hard,
I would pick guitar, but obviously not for the sad part is, a lot of the music that I listen to, the singer actually ruins the song because I listen. Yeah, I listen to a lot of distortion and drop tuning and whatnot. So let's see what we got. We got Steve Fox says guitar. Bob Heiler says, Steve Fox says singer. Bob Heiler says singer. So we got a lot of singers out there. They're liking the singer. That's a fair point.
Yeah,
that's a tough one for you. Obviously, you enjoy
difficult.
Doing both. I know.
Yeah,
you enjoy your artist doing both as well,
Definitely.
right? There's nothing like a good singer-songwriter / good guitar, a decent guitar player. But when they make everything mesh, one thing that your genre of music is very good at, right? It's you can't beat it. So unfortunately, you couldn't pick both on that one because I know you would, especially coming from your background, but. All right, gentlemen, or thank you everyone for joining in. G, thanks a lot, buddy. Again, we're still going to plan on trying to do a special, a midweek or a late week special, right? When you're bored,
Yeah.
when you're bored one of these nights, maybe we'll have to, just one topic, and we'll just go for a half hour and take everyone's comments. We'll schedule it. We just need to do something like that on one topic. Also, leave your comments below if you guys want to hear us go over like a topic and put everything together for everyone. Let me know. We'll get it rolling for like a late Thursday or a late Friday. Let me know, because I think that would be a blast. Even like if you guys are bored on a Sunday morning, right? That would be a good time cool. for all
for
that.
shizzle.
So, again, thanks everyone for joining tonight. G, good to see you, buddy. Hope you stay safe.
Yeah,
what day are you actually heading down to Nashville?
Move on Friday, so next Tuesday I will be live from Nashville instead of Jackson.
Oh, right on. That's what I was asking. So right on.
Yep.
That'll be hopefully G will be setting up his brand new A to G studio. I know he's got some music buddies and stuff like that. Oh, that'll be awesome. That'll be awesome, man. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. Again, I'm Adam Amble, live from Castle Rock, Colorado. Garrett Collier joining me tonight. Thanks all for the comments. Make sure you share. Make sure you head on over to the M Factor. Pardon me. Head over to the M Factor channel over on YouTube. Again, the link is posted in the preview. If not, just let me know. Head on over to YouTube. Just type in the M Factor search. You'll notice the icon. So thanks everyone for joining. Again, stay safe out there, and happy late Mother's Day to everyone, all you mothers out there, and we will see you soon.